All right, hey guys. Now the markets are wrecked. I was gonna buy an actual mic, but this is all I got right now. So over here I have Wendy O.
So I am CryptoWendyO. I started in November. I do a lot of TA education. I host meetups in Southern California. I have a YouTube channel, so I do a lot of I create a lot of media there. I do interviews, teach TA, all that fun stuff, and I am on Twitter a lot. So it's a little bit about me.
Okay, so she's on Twitter a lot and she does TA. Sweet. All right, and we got my man Jason over here.
Hey guys, Jason Civalleri from Split here. My background in trading is I got into Bitcoin in 2012, under 100 or right around 100. You know, accidentally sold off right before Mt. Gox, got back into everything, got back into Ethereum right when it launched, under $3. Sold off most of it around 1,300, but still was planning on getting another house, which I didn't pull the trigger on, and now I'm in an apartment. But yeah, I paid off all of my grad loans. I got a law degree and an MBA, paid off all those loans, paid off 3 degrees in undergrad, basically through crypto. So thank you, hodlers.
I'm gonna invoice you for this mic later. All right, guys. So we're gonna talk about price. We got a hodler right here. We got a trader right here. I wouldn't say one is better or the other, but let's talk about the different views, shall we?
So as far as trading in TA goes, I really like it because a lot of it is basic math, and that's the way a lot of the indicators are done. It's a really good way to predict where price is going to go and what can happen. Obviously, there are market makers, and sometimes, you know, even though you're going to call a bottom or call a top, stuff does happen, and you can get liquidated and all that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, I like TA because it does seem to line up with a lot of news events that go on, and it essentially acts as a guide as to, like I said, where price is going to go, and it's a good way to help or to get yourself to enter into a project that you like, and there's no reason why anybody can't learn to do it, and there's no reason why anybody should be buying the tops of anything ever when we have all this free information out there.
Right. So do you have any advice for people who bought at 20,000 and are freaking out right now? Do you have any tips for them? Any investment advice or financial advice, even though you're not supposed to give it? Trading advice? We're market's wrecked. Look at the mic.
Okay, so I cannot give any investment advice or financial advice, but what I can say is with myself, because I did get in November 2017, and I started to buy the tops of a lot of stuff. I still have a lot of bags that I kind of held on to because I didn't know what I was doing. A lot of the projects I have, I do believe that they will do well, so I'm not planning on selling them. I do believe that Bitcoin will go up a lot more from here, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So any Bitcoin that I bought super high at, I'm going to be holding on to it, and I'm not really worried about this short-term price action currently.
All right, to the hodler over here, what do you think?
The whole thing's overvalued, and it's hard to use math to figure anything out. For starters, one of the tough things that's, you know, when people try to use mathematical models from old financial systems, TA, quant, there's another number of others, is that they're all designed in systems that are already mature, where you have 100 years worth of data that are then inflecting how the models as you design them for a relevant market. It's very tricky to do that in something that, as I said, everything's overvalued right now, and basically everything's being driven by speculation. As excited as I am about Bitcoin and about Ethereum, nobody's actually using them yet, and that's the key thing. There's no actual fundamentals. There's no real life adoption. You go out on the street, most of the people you talk to probably have heard about Bitcoin by now, but they don't have a wallet. They aren't using Bitcoin for what it's supposed to be used. And that's what actual adoption looks like. That's what a successful Bitcoin looks like, is that everyone out on the street is using it as money or store of value or gold or whatever Core says it is now. And so trying to price things according to those models when there's only pure speculation going on can be difficult, especially when you consider that there are smaller yet powerful manipulation efforts that go into this. That are aware of all the TA charts and everything that everyone's using, and therefore exploiting that fact and going after it. So all that being said, I bought into Ethereum when it was under $3. I was thinking, you know, if what they say is true in the white paper, if they actually accomplish all of the stuff that they want to and all the sharding and the plasma and everything that they've been saying long term, this could easily be worth $100 in about 5 years. And by the next summer, nothing had changed, and now it's trading at 1,300, and and ICO mania is going on, and everybody's buying into these ICOs. And I remember talking to a couple of the core people, and we're just like, we have $750 billion worth of alpha tests on our hand. They're not even beta tests. They're not even designed for public usage. When has that ever occurred that, you know, an industry worth more than Apple and Google combined almost, or I guess Apple just crossed $1 trillion, but these large powerhouses where everybody uses an iPhone or an Android, everybody uses Google search, everyone has a Mac, and yet we're expecting these cryptos to be worth more than that when nobody's actually using them. And so everyone can say we're in a bear market. I do still think it's overvalued at the moment. And there's a lot further down that we can go until something actually changes. And we actually start to see some of the upgrades and improvements that we're expecting and that progress is being made towards. At which point you start to minimize the risk of these actually taking off because you're actually getting closer to adoption if that happens. And that's what's missing from the market right now. It's just fundamentals across the board.
I am terrible at math, and I'm Asian. All right, so 2 questions. How do you guys feel about the Bitcoin ETF?
Me personally, I think it's something that's very bullish for the market. I know it's going to be institutional money that's coming in. I know that a lot of us cannot invest in it, but I feel that as more institutions come in and as more mass news starts talking about crypto and Bitcoin, I feel like it will help integrate mass adoption. So I'm excited about it. However, I don't think it's going to be it's going to get approved right away. I think it's going to take a while. But as far as the ETFs go, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be integrated and approved. I think it's going to take a while, though.
Yeah, that's kind of a broad question. So I think as far as ETF getting passed, Jake Cherverinsky gives a very solid and valid reason as a practicing attorney in Washington as to why it won't come until at least March, and that's if we get a decision that's favorable at all. But bigger picture, just because an ETF forms doesn't mean that there's demand for it. And another situation where we saw this happen was when CME and CBOE approved derivatives on their commodities markets. Everyone thought this was going to be this giant news event. Everyone was starting, collecting their bags, and then nobody actually traded on it. And so there's multiple layers. It's not that you have these institutional players that are biting at the chomp to get into the markets like we had kind of thought last year. It's that a lot of them are still sketchy on this crypto stuff, and the ones that aren't have figured out paths around already. So there's not this giant bubble of institutional money that's just waiting to break in that the ETF will solve. Long term, however, it does allow some institutional players that are not necessarily the first movers to get involved. If they have a charter that only allows them to buy certain assets that are regulated in certain ways, maybe it's an index provision in their charter, we will see those in the long term being more able to mobilize into these markets with these types of adoptions. But it's not going to hit us all at once. It's going to be a much longer, slower progression. And overall, in the long term, overall, really what you could say is that Bitcoin doesn't really need ETFs. ETFs need Bitcoin. That's the reality.
Shots fired. Bam, bam. Rebuttal.
Yeah, so that I totally agree with. But as far as financial or big money coming into this space, I disagree with you on that because I feel like we're seeing a lot of when Goldman Sachs bought Circle, we're seeing a lot of these players coming into the market buying and they're interested in trading. I don't think it's being talked about as much as what's actually going on. I think there's a lot of things we don't know about, but I have a really strong feeling that they want to get into the market and they essentially see it as money and they want to be able to control it just like they control all the other financial markets we have.
So here's another question for you guys. So in a bear market, what does your portfolio look like? So what are you guys holding on to? You don't have to answer.
Yeah, I don't really discuss this. Long term, I think, what I consider the big three, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Monero. Those are some very strong ones, each for their own specific reasons. Bitcoin, whatever it ends up turning into, whether it's worldwide money or anything else, at least has the strongest track record of security, of consistency. It's got a very good base layer that other things can be built on. Ethereum, I think a lot of people overlook the importance of Solidity and why they had to invent a whole new language for Ethereum and not just import C++ or JavaScript. It allows for strong type. It's much more narrow, much less useful programming language, and yet for certain security features and for certain nailing it down that's necessary for smart contracts, we needed to have something that was less flexible. And so I think Ethereum long term, all these other chains can't compete if they're doing C++ or Java. And then Monero, that's the privacy aspect. That's always going to be demand. There's always going to be people trying to hide their money, whether for legitimate or illegitimate reasons. Monero has really taken the market share of that so far.
Cool.
Really quick, my biggest holdings, the ones I'll talk about, are Bitcoin and Ethereum. I trade a lot of altcoins, so I'm in a lot of different positions with those. I won't discuss what I'm holding because I don't want to shill, but I am a firm believer of hedging your portfolio a specific way, and that's what I have. That's what I do with mine.
Also buy land.
Buy land.
Land and livestock and gold and silver, all that kind of
Grow
stuff.
your own food in case this tech thing.
Start a couple
you know.
companies. Yeah. So.
Yep. Cardano. All right, so that's it, guys. Do you guys have any final remarks before we sign off here?
No, good. It was a pleasure.
What's your Twitter and how do people stay in touch with you?
CryptoWendyO for YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TradingView, all that fun stuff. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel and watch me grow.
Same handle.
And I'll say for any people who are suffering the bear market, the unemployment office is open from 9 to 5. It's in downtown LA. Nah, I'm just kidding. Just teasing you. But yeah, you can find me at Jason the Healer. Follow Split Core. It's at Split Core. And check out our website. It's spl.yt. You can email me at jason@spl.yt.
Cool. All right, that's it, guys. So where did you say this office was?
This is at Science.
Oh, no, the unemployment office.
Oh, gotcha. I got you, buddy.
All right, awesome. I'll be working at Science, guys. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Well, seriously, it was a great pleasure. I'll see you guys at the next episode.
That's great.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Later, cadets.